Invincible Mumu by Han Jung-Wheelia. Chapter 94. Jade Plaque. Part 1. What is your age? Sometimes the human brain would become overloaded regardless of one's will. It could be said that Dan Baekhyun's current state was like that. Her mind was exploding like fireworks. What did I just say? She definitely thought of saying thank you, but something else came out when she looked at Mumu. It can be said that Dan Baekhyun had cracked apart the cold image she had built up over several years with just one question. She bowed her head and covered her face with her hands. She knew she had done something crazy here. This child was a disciple, a student, and she was a teacher in this academy. However, she couldn't control her mouth due to the emotions inside her. I haven't trained enough. She didn't know what to do now. 90% of her wanted to get out of the situation, but 10% wanted to stay. The words she uttered with her mouth were her true thoughts, and she wondered how Mumu would respond. Age? Mumu asked. Pound. Her heart began to beat quicker. Although she felt that the situation was strange, she still was hoping for something. Age? What do you mean? Mumu tilted his head, which made her raise her own head. Mumu had an innocent face, and she was stunned. Mumu didn't seem to know what she was aiming at. Right. This was strange. It was natural that the child didn't understand it, as this was something she just blurted out. But she hated that she had done it. Phew. Nothing. Was Master asking how I think about those older than me? What? Did he understand what she meant after all? Then why did he act like he didn't just a second ago? Wait. Was Mumu doing this with hopes that she would ask him again? If that was the case, this wasn't a normal situation. But unlike her complicated thoughts, Mumu had just taken the question literally. Did she mean to ask what I think about those older than me? Except for his friends, everyone was older than Mumu. The deputy, his stepfather, and even his brother, whom he met today. All good people. Mumu smiled brightly and said, I like it. As soon as he said that, her face turned beet red as if it would explode. Mumu became slightly surprised as her expression resembled one whose soul had left her body. I think she has a fever. Master, are you all right? He reached out to her forehead, but then she stepped back in panic. Scary. Is this the initiative of youth? After hearing that he liked it, she had misunderstood his every action. What did this kid mean? She stroked her red cheeks. It was cute to see her being shy, but students would feel shocked at this sight. It is so hot. As she was turning hot due to embarrassment, she used ice energy. Mumu, who watched the ice form on her hand, remembered something. And then he grabbed her hand. Master. She was shocked when he unintentionally grabbed her wrist. Mumu then said, There is something I want to ask. What? He said he liked older ones, so was he trying to assert dominance? Contrary to his innocent face, he looked like the forceful type now. Bewildered, she waved her other hand. This is too fast. We are. I found a trace of something that looks like ice. Can you confirm it? Did she get too excited by herself? Once again, her face turned red, but for a different reason. Haryang was following someone with the stealth technique of the lower district sect. The one he was following was Harayan. He caught up with the guy as he headed towards his dorm and kept a safe distance. Other than that, he wanted to know who else was involved. Nice. This is close to advanced information when I get full knowledge of it. Advanced information was nothing short of a treasure in the lower district sect. This was because such information could change the results. A pity, but this is an investment. Moilwa, the daughter of an official, Mumu, who possessed extraordinary strength, and his brother Jin Hyuk, who was exactly like his older brother. These three would become famous in the Murim. Can I be at their side? He hoped so. And this road? The North Heavenly Dorm. This was unexpected. This was the dorm they stayed in. They said it was darkest under the lamp, and that saying turned out to be true. Once the dorm is entered, the hallways would become narrow, which would make following the target complex. However, Harayan, who was about to enter the dorm, saw someone and raised his hand. And that person was. Is he the one? Harayan was surprised to see this person. He wondered if this person was in the same line of work as Harayan. A forested hill to the north of their dorm. Someone in the shadows of the bushes was moving around the area. He then turned to Harayan, who was following, and asked, "What did you want to ask?" Harayan immediately asked, "Who was the one who dealt with disciple Young Chun?" He was here to find out about that. At Harayan's question, the person leaned against a tree and spoke in a dry voice. "That is information you don't need to know." An obvious rejection. At those words, Harayan became angry. Even though they were all of the same ranks in the 8 evil families, members of the Heavenly Killing Valley and the Demon Blood clan tried to act as if they were higher. No, they used that to their advantage too. "Did you call me to ask that?" "You are wasting my time." The person shook his head as he tried to leave, but then Harayan asked, "His name?" "His?" The person stopped, turned and walked. "You wouldn't call Master Hio as his or him, so are you asking about the Lord?" To that, Harayan said, "Under these circumstances, it has to be the latter one." "Did you think that only you and him would have contact?" "Well, not anymore." Even if he belonged to the Demon Blood clan, he couldn't walk away. You know who will be the Lord? Isn't it obvious?" "I have already contacted him several times, and I wasn't sure till now." "Shoo." Before he could finish speaking, someone appeared behind Harayan and grabbed his neck. A little more strength and it would break. What are you doing?" Harayan was shocked as someone said. "Who are you trying to deceive now?" "What do you mean deceive? Is he the one who asked you to find out who took care of the student? Even if you used your head, you used it wrong." Clench. The back of his neck felt like it would break at any moment. In the end, Harayan could not withstand it and his body twisted under the force. He decided to retaliate, but Kwang. To his surprise, Harayan had fallen to the floor. It felt like his body was split at the legs. Thanks to that, it felt like his crotch was hurting. Ugh. You should recognize the difference between them. Harayan couldn't hold back his anger at the one who was laughing. Damn it. The one who will become the Lord gave the order, but now I wonder. Pack. And the person stepped on him. The thinking behind your question is wrong. The person who murdered the student was the Lord candidate himself. Harayan was shocked. What was this? The one who killed the student was the Lord? This made no sense. What is this? He couldn't understand it. Once again, he felt confused. Last time, he thought it was strange that the Mumu he thought of as his Lord was someone he had to be careful about, and this time too. He asked me to find out who killed the student, but the Lord himself killed him? Didn't he tell him to find out? Harayan was confused. He was sure that Mumu was the one who would become the Lord. It cannot be. He has the Jade plaque. As soon as he said that, the other person grabbed him by the neck and lifted him up as he asked. Did you meet another Lord of the Jade plaque? Another Jade plaque? This was something even more confusing. Before that, I need to deal with the rat. Rat? Why do you think I brought you here instead of the dorm? Shoo. The person who had been holding his neck vanished. The man who moved 10 meters away in an instant swung a sword at the person hiding behind the tree. Slash. The sword cut through the person's chest, and blood spilled out. Haryang then came out from behind his hiding spot. In an instant, he had been unable to escape from the swift opponent and ended up with a large wound on his chest. Haryang, kid of the lower district sect. As expected. The person laughed at Haryang, who was bleeding. You should have run away. Cough. All the people of the lower district sect are the same. Stupid people who risked lives for the sake of information. Killing the lower district's child would disrupt their lineage. The person then raised his sword. The rat's life ends here. Die. Ah, young Master Mumu. At that time, Haryang looked at someone and shouted. Flinch. The person hurriedly turned his sword to his back, but there was no one there. Not a sign of anyone. This bastard. Realizing that he was deceived, he was about to kill Haryang in anger. Clash. Take this. Haryang, who barely moved, avoided the sword and threw something at his face. Huh. The man, with incredible reflexes, tilted his head to avoid it. Papapapang. Quack. The thing Haryang threw exploded in front of him one after another, and Haryang stepped back to save himself. Why would I die? I have a long life to live. Chapter 95. Jade Plaque. Part 2. The lower district sect is weak, but one hit from them is enough. Haryang, who watched it all, was shocked. Doing such a thing against a genius on his side was as if he was indicating that he wanted to keep going to the bitter end. He didn't understand where the explosives came from, but Haryang was lucky. While they exploded right in front of the man, the results were different. The vision is blurred. As soon as the explosion happened in front of him, the man used internal energy to protect his body, but the intense light impaired his vision. That isn't doable unless it was thoroughly calculated for deception. The man bit his lip. While he might have considered Haryang as simply lucky, this was something that he was also good at. He was accustomed to running away from life-threatening situations to the point where they were no longer scary to him. You underestimate me. He had been careless as people of the lower district sect were known to have weak martial arts. However, thinking about it from another point of view, there had to be a way for people of the lower district to escape death like cockroaches. To aim for sight and hearing is clever. But the man mumbled to himself again and began checking for blood traces on the ground. Southwest. He had guessed the direction of escape from just blood drops on the ground, causing Haryang to click his tongue. An explosion had blown up in front of his face. Surely the man had to be at least stunned? The Demon Blood clan raised a proper monster. Would the other boy be able to escape? Although he had temporarily bought time, their skills and abilities were different. Additionally, the man wasn't injured, while Haryang wouldn't have an easy time with his wound. Pat. Haryang was escaping using his footwork skills. As Haryang had concluded, his vision was blurry from the explosion. Somehow, he was trying to reach a crowded place or somewhere where his friends were to share the information he had gotten. Hook. This is difficult. The wound was moist with blood, and yet his goal was still to live a long life. Whisper. The space in front of the North Heavenly dorm was noisy with the chatter of students. In particular, the female students were particularly raucous at a single person's arrival. One person had arrived at the dorm and was the sole contributor to the large number of female students congregating there. It was Jin Sung, an alumnus who had graduated from the academy. Jin Sung. Ah. It is Jin Sung. To see Sir Jin Sung while alive. This is the honor of my family. His popularity had soared beyond words, and all the students looked at him in awe and cheered like a gaggle of excited girls. They would even clutch their chests if Jin Sung met their gaze. This was how much of an idol he was for them. This is an academy. Jin Hyuk stuck out his tongue. Ever since his brother had become an official, his name was widely known all over the land. That was also why many women had come by their house to look for him. That resulted in his brother asking for a change in his work posting, saying he didn't want to be a nuisance to his family. This is a familiar scene. While most of this didn't feel strange to him, there were a couple of things which felt new. It was quite difficult to adapt to Moilwa, who was twisting her body while flipping her hair. She wasn't trying to be fussy like she would usually. She was pretending to be a noble young lady now. So, it is true. He knew that she was a bit shy when it came to his brother. He knew it wasn't a big deal, but seeing her like this, why was he feeling so regretful? Jin Hyuk, who felt confused by his new emotions, opened his mouth. You must be busy. Are you overworked? I just wanted to see your face for a moment. We can just meet at home. Seeing Jin Hyuk say this, his brother smiled, took out an ornament from his sleeve, and gave it to him. Then I couldn't have given this to you. What is this? It's something I commissioned from an imperial craftsman. A symbol of our brotherhood. Jin Hyuk felt a bit shy at this present. Why was his brother acting like this? He took the present given to him, but the eyes looking at them from all around made him feel embarrassed. At that time, Moilwa coughed and gently touched Jin Hyuk. It was a silent symbol asking him to introduce her. Jin Hyuk didn't like doing things like this because it happened too many times at home. He reluctantly spoke, however, as he was close to her. Hyung, this is Miss Mo Tuwa. Ah. You are the daughter of official Mo. It is a pleasure to meet you. Jin Sung immediately recognized her once he heard her name. Jin Hyuk was a bit shocked. His brother seemed to be fully informed about the people around the imperial palace. Oh my. Sir Jin Sung knows me. Moilwa couldn't hide her joy as she patted her red cheeks. On the other hand, the female students around Jin Sung also seemed happy at the sight of him. Is it that amazing? Well, this guy had increased the academy's reputation among the people. So it was natural for people to give him this much admiration. I think they fit together well. Jin Sung, his older brother, was also old enough to get married now. From that point of view, if it was Moilwa, who he had known for a while, then she would be a good match. Still, why didn't he like this situation? Jin Hyuk tried to make the two keep some distance. Moilwa involuntarily looked over at Jin Hyuk's face as he got between her and his brother. She, who had been interested in Jin Sung all this time, also felt strangely concerned about Jin Hyuk. What? What is with that pouting face? Jin Sung smiled as he saw the two of them being conscious of each other. You look good. Jin Sung spoke to Jin Hyuk. He is still young, so please take care of him. Mississippi. Yes? What was that? Moilwa hurriedly waved her hand. How long had she waited for this moment? And yet her target was pushing her away to another person. Jin Sung whispered to her. He can be a bit cold, but he is a good person. It isn't like that. She covered her mouth as she ended up revealing her true intentions. She had wanted to show him only her pretty side, but she ended up acting like this. This was like saying that she had some feelings for Jin Hyuk, and then she made eye contact with him. Gulp. She gulped as her face turned red. He made me become conscious of that guy for nothing. Sir Jin Sung, you are mean. She thought Jin Sung would be cold and calm like Jin Hyuk, but the guy also knew how to mess around. Moilwa then said as she stroked her red cheeks. That is too much. I love Sir Jin Sung so much. Shoo. At that moment, Jin Sung raised his hand and stopped her from speaking. Why? He did that before she could finish her words. Then Jin Sung moved somewhere. Moilwa and Jin Hyuk were both puzzled at this and followed him. Hook. Haryang was lying down on the ground. He had almost reached the dorm site, but his body wasn't moving. Haryang, who had collapsed, shouted. Help me. The voice which came out felt unnaturally soft and didn't reach far. He was bleeding too much, and he had used what energy he had left to run away. I am almost there. Haryang was exhausted as he saw the dorm just through the bushes. A little further and he would meet his friends. By now, someone who had training would have heard his shout. Even if I didn't dream of living a full life, I still want to live longer. Haryang felt his vision go blurry. The loss of vision added to the unfairness that he felt at dying a death without achieving anything. Harrying moved his fingers, which slowly went still. Pat. At a distance, the man following him looked at Harrying's collapsed body. He hadn't fully recovered yet, but he had no trouble seeing. The wound is deep. The man smiled at this. Although he suffered a little, the first attack he landed was strong. A little further and Harrying would have made it to the dorm. Seeing him collapse, however, indicated that he couldn't stop the bleeding. I can leave him like that to die, but I need to be sure. Nothing good came from leaving a task half done. The moment that he was about to approach Harrying, however. Flinch. The man looked around. There. His sense told him that someone was approaching rapidly. For a moment, he wondered who it could be. Are they trying to warn me? The quickly approaching person felt skilled. They had deliberately let their presence known to show their arrival. It was a subtle warning. Can't help it then. The man took out a dagger from his sleeve, broke off the sharp blade and threw it to the already collapsed Harrying. Swish. The thrown dagger appeared to hit Harrying near his heart, and the man glanced at it before he vanished into the bushes. Shoo. Eugene-san appeared from the rear of the North Heavenly dorm. There he found the child lying on the ground. This child. His was the faint cry of help he had heard. It had been difficult to hear with the students around, but Jin-sung was skilled enough to hear it. He had also let off some energy to warn off any potential hostiles. Shit. He clenched his teeth as he looked at the child. He didn't know who the opponent was, but they were clever. They had finished off their victim by throwing the blade edge of a dagger. I was too late. Jin-sung then looked at where the dagger had pierced the boy. Blood was on the ground, but the dagger itself didn't seem bloody, which made him look closer. Something thick, resembling armor, was on Harrying's back. Thanks to that, the dagger didn't penetrate through. What is this? Looking closely, the boy had metal mesh armor all the way up to his head. He knew how to protect himself. Pat. At that moment, Jin Hyuk and Moilwa also reached the location. Hyung? Why are you, Harrying? As the two spotted their collapsed friend, they ran to him. Someone you know? Jin Hyuk nodded his response to the question. He then looked over Harrying's condition. They had been worried that something would happen after Harrying followed Harayan, and their fears had become a reality. He isn't dead, right? Moilwa asked with tears in her eyes as Jin-sung shook his head. He passed out due to the heavy bleeding, but he is breathing. We can save him if we hurry. Jin Hyuk, take the child to the infirmary. Okay. Jin Hyuk picked up his friend. He knew he had been asked to take Harrying because his brother had a hunch about something. Hyung, what are you going to do? I'm going to go catch the person who made this childlike, huh? At that moment, Jin-sung looked down at the ground and frowned. Harrying had written something there. Jade Plaque? Assassin? Il Hyun? It was difficult to know what these words meant. He could understand the meanings of both the Jade Plaque and the assassin, but the third statement had been written without strength. The writing was blurry and hard to discern, but it felt like the words meant something about Dark and One. What? He left a message? Jin-sung then said to the two. For now, the child is in danger, so go quickly. Yes. Jin Hyuk carried Harrying away quickly. At the same time, 3 men and women broke into the old school building. They were none other than Mumu, Tang Soso, and Dan Baekhyun. Anti-poison that had been given out by Tang Soso was used to break in. What am I doing? Mumu had suddenly asked for her help, and she followed him. Still, she didn't think that the target was this old building. Entry here was forbidden to everyone, including the masters, so she couldn't sneak in, but she still came here with Mumu. I am going crazy. She usually would have coldly refused it, but Mumu was her weak spot. While she didn't like it, she still agreed to it. This is suspicious. The woman Mumu had borrowed poison from was clearly helping them. but Dan Baekhyun didn't like her. "We have to check it out." When he said those words, she responded, Then I guess we should go." Tang Soso knew that the master was looking at Mumu with the coldest look one could muster, but women couldn't hide their feelings from other women. No, it couldn't be that, right? Still, it would be a relationship between teacher and student. And there was a clear 8 years age difference, but if that was true, then if she had a conscience, she wouldn't be aiming for Mumu. No matter how wild Mumu is, the age gap is a bit too much. Tang Soso's eyes darkened. When it came to Mumu's charm, she knew that women of any age could end up liking him. TCH. Even Gyeong Sirin and Ma Yunhwa seemed to be interested in Mumu, but this was too much. This woman looked twisted in her eyes. Should I flirt with him? She felt like she had to show her charm to Mumu. Fortunately, compared to the master, she had more youthful skin. Right. Just from the age and appearance. Tang Soso glanced at Dan Baekhyun. Although much older, the woman looked so beautiful that they both looked similar in age. Her insides must be rotten. She must be using her internal energy. Her eyes then turned towards the huge breasts that could be seen from the top of her clothing, which prompted Tang Soso to look down at hers. Special measures would be required. Chapter 96. Jade Plaque. Part 3. Before long, someone came. Harayan felt annoyed at this sight. The lower district sex Haryang was someone who aided his lord. It wasn't like he was the one who killed him, but he did aid in the hunt. What the hell? If Mumu knew about this, he would be very angry. He should have stopped the man who pursued Haryang, but he had felt confused. It was a continuing confusion. I had been told to be aware of Mumu. That question itself is wrong. That is, the one who had dealt with the dead student is actually the man who will become the Lord. Because of that, guessing the truth became difficult. I should have just told him the identity of the person who will become the Lord. Right? No. If he had, he would have been killed. In a situation where he wasn't sure who the real Lord was, he couldn't freely release the information he already knew. He also had to find out another thing. Just in case. Did you meet someone with another plaque? What can be deduced from this was a fact that even the White Valley elders didn't know about. Harayan then asked the man. There isn't just one person with the Jade plaque? At his words, the man glanced over and replied simply. For now, move. They had to quickly get out of this place as the situation was bad. There were people here who were actively tracking the man, but Harayan shook his head and said, I will not move until you answer. You are being a bother. Move. Killing intent oozed out of the man's voice. Harayan was worried about being killed, but even if he was annoying, the man couldn't just kill the successor of the White Valley. Just because I am a bit useless right now doesn't mean the clan is useless to him. Then the man said, You are correct. Harayan's eyes fluttered open. Until now, he had only considered the possibility of one potential Lord candidate, but now he was being told there were two. He then realized that there was one key difference. The man hadn't referred to the man he served as the Lord but as someone who would become the Lord. That meant that the person wasn't the Lord yet. So then Harayan said, Why didn't I know about this? Shoo. The man cut off his words before continuing to say, Be quiet. The matter is more complicated than you think. The Infinite 10 Gates was a technique that had been made to keep the prison safe. Someone entered the space that was supposed to be guarded tightly. Sam Yuhyo's eyes, which had been closed shut, turned to the person entering the prison. The visitor wore an old-fashioned official's attire and was none other than Oh Muyang. Oh Muyang spoke to the guards guarding the prison. From now on, the criminal will be interrogated, so all the guards here except those outside can leave. The 6 officers who had followed him inside all looked suspicious to the guards, so they replied, We need to keep an eye here. At those words, Oh Muyang raised his eyebrow. Are you going to intervene with the official interrogation of a possible arsonist now? Even if you are from the palace, this place. Leave. At the sound of that voice, the guards all looked at the prison's entrance. There stood Dan Pilhu. Deputy. The headmaster gave him permission. I understand. If the headmaster had given permission, they could do nothing. The guards left immediately, and once they exited, Dan Pilhu said, "After confirming his confession with your interrogation, please report it to the palace as promised." I understand. Now you should leave too. And so, Dan Pilhu, too, left the prison. As he went out, Omuyang looked at Samuhyo, who was lying down. He stood right in front of the man and looked down at Samuhyo as he said, "Well, this turned into a mess. TCH. Samuhyo stared at Omuyang, who was clicking his tongue. This was different from those who had visited and interrogated him up until now. Even Kong Mui hadn't acted like this when he came here. Even after all this, you seem to have energy left in you." Omuyang sneered at the man as Samuhyo said, "I don't feel like joking around. So what do you expect me to do? Are you going to get up and punch me?" Clench. At the provocation, Samuhyo grunted. He really wanted to, but he could not move as his body was paralyzed after Mumu's beating. Then Omuyang continued. "Even if it didn't look like it, I could imagine how furious the boy must have been." At that, Samuhyo snorted. "Even if it wasn't that, he would have come to take my life. But he left without doing that. On what whim?" Omuyang tilted his head. In such a situation, even he would kill Samuhyo immediately. Then Samuhyo said, "I told him about the book." "What?" Omuyang was momentarily confused before asking in an angry tone. "Are you really doing this right now?" "Correct. Before the old man Hangyan died, he spoke about it. I had figured that out." Omuyang clicked his tongue and looked at the smiling Samuhyo. "Looks like I got it right. You had told the Mui boy that you would give him that information." Samuhyo didn't answer. But he knew that everything had become twisted because of just one person. Mumu. Without that one variable, their grand scheme wouldn't have failed, and the martial arts books inside the library would have been his. Omuyang stroked his beard and said, "If it falls into his hands, you would be close to getting a higher level of power. That guy in the Imperial Palace will be quite upset. That isn't known yet." "What do you even mean?" "Neither you nor I will be given priority by them. I am telling you, it is better to throw out that greed right now." At his words, Samuhyo frowned, and that made Omuyang click his tongue. Seeing a man struggle when there was no way out was pathetic. "It is not my business. It is up to him to make a life on his own terms and face the situations that his greed brings him." Omuyang had a sly smile. "So who do you want, of the brothers?" It is so familiar. The impression Dan Baekhyun had of the old research building was that it was a familiar place because her laboratory had been in the basement of this building before the accident. Yet now, the place looked like a ghost building as it hadn't been maintained or handled at all. Still, some students saw a ghost and fainted. It had almost been a riot. The fear led to superstitions that filled the air more than the poison in the building. Well, the students were young. But not this child. Seeing Mumu walk forward without hesitation made it feel like he wasn't bothered by the gloomy atmosphere. More than that, the little girl next to Mumu was also fine. Was her name SOSO? Why is she sticking so close to him? Ah. Even though we came during the daytime, why is it so scary? She snuggled to Mumu by clinging to his arm. This felt offensive to look at. Was the girl interested in Mumu? Dan Baekhyun stared at her student and coughed. Student Tang SOSO. Yes? Why don't you walk a little further away? Tang SOSO chuckled at her words and said. Why? Is there any reason we shouldn't stick together? There was a reason. The reason was that she didn't like another woman standing beside Mumu. but that's not something she could reveal to an academy student. What are you afraid of in broad daylight? Move away. Hearing those words from Dan Baekhyun, Tang Soso said in reply. Master. There are ghosts here. They are scary. Phew. There is no such thing like that. There are. I said they don't. Shoo. Suddenly, something black caught Dan Baekhyun's eye. There was something with a single red eye on the ceiling that was definitely not human. It was her first time seeing a ghost, so she went stiff. What is that? She was too shocked to even think about what to do. Dash. The single red-eyed monster saw Mumu and then started disappearing into the ceiling. She didn't know what was happening. Have I been too tired lately? Maybe it was an illusion. Meanwhile, they suddenly stopped in front of the stairs leading to the basement. What was unusual was that there were holes in the ceiling near the stairs. What is this? It felt like the holes were drilled in. As she looked closer at them, Mumu scratched his head. And then they went down. It has been a few days, so did it melt? What Mumu was trying to show was the ice around the flower he had taken out of here. It was supposed to be a flower that only bloomed in the North Sea but had been placed in an artificial environment in the basement. He did bring the flowers out, and the ice didn't seem like it would melt soon, but... Mumu, who came to the deepest part of the basement, frowned. Obviously, at that time everything was frozen, but now, not even a drop of water was left there. This is strange. Tang Soso, who had seen the ice with Mumu, also found it strange. There was no trace as if nothing had ever existed. Dan Baekhyun looked around. Is this the place? Yes. It is. I felt something resembling frozen ice energy in here. At those words, she looked puzzled. You felt ice energy? Yes. It was similar to what Master showed me. Are you sure? The reason she asked was simple. It was because Mumu was someone who had just started learning martial arts, so logically distinguishing various martial arts would be difficult for him. Besides, in order to recognize it, one had to learn it. Yet, Mumu remembered it after only seeing it once? Is that possible? Normally she would deny it right away, but seeing how far Mumu grew in a short span of time, she knew that this child was unusually talented. And if that was the truth... At that moment... Quack-quack-quack-wang. Growling. What? Kayak. Ceiling. The ground shook, and the ceiling collapsed onto them. Someone was staring at the old building. The building collapsed fully to the bottom floor as if its pillars were taken out. He will probably go down to the basement. Knock down the building then. As expected, he did enter the building. He had even entered with a master and another student. While this was a variable, it wasn't a big deal. It was their fault for having entered that place in the first place. TCH. Even though he had prepared to knock down the building, that person was terrifying. The whole building had gone down, which meant the people inside would be crushed. No matter how powerful he was, he surely could not withstand the weight of a 5-story building collapsing down on him. Even recognizing the body will be tough now. The situation was properly handled. Even if he was strong, no one, not even the best masters, could survive this situation. Meanwhile, there was another person near the building. It was Agent 2, the messenger. EIK. As usual, his mission was to watch Mumu. However, as he did the last time, he had stayed outside for his observation, having judged that he might run into traps if he went in without knowing the circumstances. But he didn't expect the entire building to just come crashing down. How can this happen? Could a building just collapse like that? The agent looked at the building, which had collapsed. Mumu had said something about heading down to the basement. So he must have been crushed down there. What did they do? If the building collapsed, the weight of the building must have fallen onto them. No matter how hard they try, they surely couldn't get. Rumble. It was at that moment. The collapsed building began to shake, and the warriors around it flocked near, unsure what to do. What? Why is the collapsed building shaking? In an instant, all of the guards felt a shock through their bodies. They could feel the vibration through their legs. The building which had collapsed began to rise. And Kwang! For a moment, they all doubted their eyes. The building was pushed up by almost 5 feet. Quack! The building. It was a shocking sight. But even more surprising was something else. Beneath it was a gray-haired muscular man whose body was releasing steam as he pushed the collapsed building. Even Agent 2 and the man who had tried to withdraw couldn't shut their mouths due to the shock. Chapter 97. Jade Plaque. Part 4. Quack-quack-quackwang. What? Kayak. The ceiling. It was at that moment as the ceiling began to fall down. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. Even though Dan Baekhyun was one of the Academy's masters, this situation was close to a disaster. JJJKKKK. She hurriedly used the ice heart technique and created a pillar of ice. While that momentarily placed the pressure and weight of the collapsing building onto it, the pillar of ice shattered an instant later. No. Get down. Bang. At that moment, Mumu supported the bottom of the falling ceiling with both arms. Bulk. Mumu's hands dug into the ceiling. Even the veins on his forehead were visibly swelling at the enormous pressure the weight was placing on his muscles. Contract and relax. Mumu began to contract and relax the muscles across his entire body. This process increased his strength more explosively compared to only focusing on one muscle. Rumble. Still, the falling ceiling carried with it an enormous weight. The pressure and weight falling on Mumu were too large to even estimate. It was difficult to even hold it up as his legs were slowly pushed to the ground. Mumu. Hold on a bit more. I will make a hole. Goo. In that situation, Tang Soso tried to pierce the ceiling with her poison technique. However, she wasn't the only one, as even Dan Baekhyun thought she needed to do the same. Focus on one place. At that time, Mumu yelled at his 2 companions. Master. SOSO. Turn the knobs on my wrists and ankles to 2. What? The dials. Hurry. The 2 of them were puzzled, but in this situation, the priority was to act, so they turned the dials. They didn't know why he was asking for it, but they decided to do it. Crick. Both women managed to turn the dials, and, at that moment, the muscles on Mumu's body began to swell up as his skin turned gray. They both could see something similar to steam being pushed out of his body. What is this? Both of them were shocked at this strange phenomenon. This was unbelievable. Rumble. The falling ceiling, which seemed like it would collapse at any moment, began to rise slowly as Mumu tried to push. And no way. Is he lifting it? This was even harder to believe. This was an unbelievable situation as the building above them had definitely collapsed. But now, they could see the debris begin to rise up. Was the boy trying to lift it? They were speechless at this feat of strength. Mumu then bent his knees and said, "You 2 will need to run and get out through the gap." Run? What are you talking? Before they could even ask further, Mumu's thighs, which had already been bulging out of his clothes, swelled up as if they would explode. And then he straightened his knees. Kwang! The floor sank down, and the ceiling soared high above them. Both women were shocked. Was he going to make an opening like this? That, with the building on top of him? What am I even looking at? It was a sight beyond common sense. An irrational idea of escaping a collapsing building by lifting the building. But it was all happening in front of them. With the ceiling moving upwards, they could see around them, and the view was nothing short of spectacular. Student SOSO. Yes. The 2 women moved out of the building's radius at the same time. The building, which was soaring high, would inevitably fall back down. Then, Kwang. Mumu used his arms to ensure that the building didn't fall too close to people. At the same time, Mumu moved the debris to the clearing that was free of people. Kwang. Mumu, who had thrown aside a building as if it was a toy, smiled and asked Dan Baekhyun. Are you hurt? Pound. It was difficult to calm her heart at Mumu's appearance. He was smiling with an innocent face, but he was a genius. Just how are you? Meanwhile, Tang Soso was busy covering up her nosebleed. Insane. The face of the unknown man that had been watching turned white. He was the one who felt bad for crushing them down under the building. But did this make sense? A single human had lifted the building and tossed it aside? A 5-story building at that? He isn't human. A true monster. He had monster strength. It wasn't something that one would comprehend through mere words. Destroying a building of this size wasn't difficult for those who reached a certain level, but lifting it up was a different story. I need to tell everyone about this. The man tried to leave immediately, but then... Shoo! A dagger suddenly flew towards him, forcing him to dodge. Seeing the dagger that had flown past him, he turned his head towards where it had come from. A man wearing brown clothes who appeared to be in his early 30s was standing there with a few more daggers in his hands. Who? He knew most of the people in the academy, but he couldn't recall seeing this one. He didn't seem to be a teacher. The man hurriedly placed his hand on the sword at his waist and asked, Who are you? Same. Who are you? Can't you see? I am the guard of the academy. Who the hell are you, just throwing a dagger at me? The man was indeed wearing the uniform of the academy's guards. The other guards were now converging on the collapsed building site, so no one was there to be suspicious of him. At that, the man who threw the dagger said, I get that, but you overlooked one thing. Overlooked? Most of the security guards work on a rotational shift, so there is no way you'd be this close to the abandoned building. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. What's that? With the poison leak and the ghost rumors, the guards stationed here come voluntarily. At those words, the man frowned. Come to think of it, he had not been assigned near the abandoned building since the second half of last year. But how did this man come to know of it? Shoo! The man in guard's clothing pulled out his blade. At that exact moment, the young man threw a dagger. Chong! The man used his blade to block it. He didn't fully understand the situation, but he needed to eliminate this irritation and immediately report what he had seen. Shoo! He felt a presence behind him. When he turned his head, a man who looked to be in his early 40s was blocking his escape. It was Nung Hyunbo, also known as Dan Pilhu's Agent 2. Agent 2 then said to the young man, You did good 8. The young man was the youngest of the agents, agent number 8. Why, then, had 8 spotted the suspicious-looking man? It was because of Dan Pilhu. From now on, 3 of you will keep an eye on Mumu. I alone am enough for a young master like Mumu who is strong. No. Information might get blocked again. At this point, the people hiding behind the incident must have noticed the child's strength and considered him to be a hindrance. Does this mean they will try to hurt him now? Correct, they will also try to monitor his actions. I understand. And the prediction of Dan Pilhu was right. They didn't expect the enemies to move this quickly. Agent 8 must admit, they were quite daring. Due to the arson, the academy has kept a keen eye on the people inside. And yet, these people were still able to move around like this. That is how dangerous they decided young Master Mumu is. Of course, he could understand their hearts. The arsonists had been killed by Mumu, and even the master behind it got beaten to a pulp and forced to confess. If it wasn't for Mumu, the deputy would still be in prison, and almost all of the students would have been seriously injured or killed in the fire. Even he logically thought Mumu would be a priority to be dealt with first, but... in that way? They wanted to kill him to such an extent that they collapsed a building on top of him. Yet, Mumu didn't get crushed and instead walked out with the building lifted over his head. The more you saw of Mumu, the more inhuman he looked. He cannot be killed. He isn't a human. Agent 2 was convinced about that. Agent 2 then took up a stance to engage the suspicious guard. Surrender now. If not, this will be difficult for you. Agent 8 stood confidently on the other side. Although they were only meant to relay information, it didn't mean that the agents were weak. The suspicious man then sneered at them and held his blade. You idiots are trying to make fun of us. Did you think you two could catch me? What? Don't get me wrong. You people. Kwang. Before the man's words ended, there was a roaring sound, and a strong wind blew through the air. Everyone there felt goosebumps on their skin. This. The man gulped and turned his head. Sussy. In an instant, a man with gray skin and steam billowing out his body appeared behind him. At this time, the suspicious man could only think. I need to run. And he immediately decided to move. Pack. Mumu's large hand grabbed his head and lifted him up. Damn it. The man tried to swing his blade. Kong. But the moment it hit Mumu's hand, it broke instead. The man looked at Mumu with a confused expression. Was this man human? As the suspicious man was stunned by the shock, Mumu looked at Agent 8 and asked. You mean this guard doesn't work here? Why yes. Agent 8, who saw Mumu like this, answered with a stutter. He, too, was feeling astonished. How did he hear all this? Mumu came all the way from the other side of the clearing, which meant it was impossible to hear, but he somehow did. Agent 2 then told Mumu. Young Master Mumu, you cannot kill him. I won't. Mumu, who said that, turned the man's head towards him and asked. Did you knock the building down? Quack. The man was too dazed to answer. In the first place, escaping from here seemed impossible. Then there was only one way left. Kill myself. Only death could prevent information leaks. And the method was simple. It was to break down the small vial hidden behind his back tooth. Crush. The man twisted his mouth and bit down with his molars. Seeing that, Agent 2 said. He has poison. At that moment, Mumu gently flicked his stomach. Agent 8 frowned. No matter how strong that was. Puck. Quack. And the man spat everything out with a groan. The vial, which was supposed to go in his stomach, was now on the floor with smoke rising out of it. I spat it out. Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. Sight only. A simple flick prevented his death. Could such a thing happen? Quack. As if coughing out the vial wasn't enough, he also kept coughing up blood. It felt like even his organs were damaged. As senior? Agent 8 looked at Agent 2, who had an incredulous expression, and nodded. It was something that he needed to see since he would take over surveillance duty over Mumu.